The latest, we have seen a statement by the US President calling the incident as heinous, a terror attack, and a criminal attack on American nation.
That this man, Rahmanullah Lakanwal, is an Afghan, that he worked with the US Army in Kandahar for 10 years.
The intelligence community, the diplomatic community, how generally broadly this incident is viewed in US capital?
The way, this is something that people from countries like Afghanistan and other similar countries must understand, that violence in America does not help you at all. You want to get something done, go through the American system.
Do we foresee any future possible action by the US against these groups?
Yeah, I think these groups are already sanctioned. They have already been designated as terrorist groups, including TTP by the United States, and even several Baloch groups operating from Afghanistan. They have been declared terrorist groups by the United States. And this incident has once again highlighted their role in spreading terrorism across the globe.
What do you think? How jointly Pakistan and United States could eliminate this terrorism?
This is one issue on which US and Pakistani interests are the same. Wherever and whenever a terrorist group is formed, it ultimately starts targeting the United States and its allies and targeting US interests.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Hello and welcome to Program Insight in V News English. Dear viewers, today we will discuss an unfortunate terror incident in US capital Washington, where an Afghan national, Rahmanullah Lakanwal, was involved in shooting American National Guards. Two of them were critically injured and they are in hospital. And Rahmanullah was immediately arrested. He is under investigation and he's on asylum. He's yet to be given an American permanent residency, which is called permanent resident card. He, in 2021, Rahmanullah was among those Afghans who worked closely with the US forces and finally were migrated to United States, where later he applied for asylum. So this is not an isolated incident. This particular Washington attack is connected to a greater global pattern where Afghan criminal networks are again activated worldwide. And in addition to this, we will also discuss this incident has clearly exposed Afghan Taliban as well. Afghan Taliban, under their 4-year regime, have issued passports to many terrorists and militants in Afghanistan. Afghan Taliban has become a source for instability and insecurity, not only in the region, but also globally, as reported, indicated, and voiced by United Nations Security Council as well. Today, we are fortunate to have with us senior journalist and analyst from Washington, Mr. Anwar Iqbal, who has been reporting about global issues, the US politics, Afghanistan, and these all things. We are fortunate to have Mr. Anwar Iqbal with us in today's conversation. Very warm welcome, Mr. Anwar Iqbal, in Program Insight in V News English. I would like to begin.
Thank you very much.
Yes, pleasure to have you with us. I would like to begin. What is the latest situation? Although the latest, we have seen a statement by the US President calling the incident as heinous, a terror attack, and a criminal attack on American nation. So he confirmed, the US President confirmed in his brief address that the attacker was an Afghan national. So most of things have already been reported. We would like to have some latest information from you. What is latest so far?
Well, this is the Thanksgiving Day in America, and this happened on Thanksgiving evening. That's why it has actually had such a huge impact, because it's a holiday where Americans from all across the globe, they want to come home and spend the Thanksgiving holidays with their families. So after, I mean, there have been some statements from the police, from FBI, and from the mayor of DC. And of course, you already mentioned President Trump's video statement, and his tweets are also there. And after that, they haven't really updated much what we know so far from media reports. I mean, I'm not quoting officials because there has been no update since last night from the officials. But the media reports are giving details of this person, and credible news outlets like CNN, NBC, ABC, and even New York Times, they have reported that this man, Rahmanullah Lakanwal, is an Afghan, that he worked with the US Army in Kandahar for 10 years. And then he was in the group that was migrated, that was brought to the United States in 2021. And in April this year, the Trump administration accepted his asylum, and he was given a permanent status. And it is so far, according to these reports, so far it is not clear whether he acted alone or he had links to any group. His links to the Taliban regime are also not clear. It seems apparently he was, he was anti-Taliban. He worked with the U.S. forces against the Taliban. So I doubt if they would be able to establish links to the Taliban.
But of course, as you said, it has not been established as far as Rahmanullah's concerned that he had any links with Taliban, but he had been closely connected with different other Afghan groups, and he had been tracking the National Guards and over the last many months.
Yes.
So this means that there was this attack was a planned attack. He worked on this particular attack for weeks and weeks and months, and he had been tracking. He had been associated with different Afghan groups.
I don't know whether you can say months and months, because the National Guards have been deployed in DC only recently, like 2 or 3 months ago. And
so quite weeks, quite few weeks, exactly.
Weeks. He might have been tracking them. He could be linked to a larger Afghan group who want to target American troops, who want to carry out terrorist attacks in this country, or it could have been an individual act. A lot of these Afghans who came here, they are very upset for various reasons. The number one reason in most of the cases is that individuals who were actually directly associated or worked with or helped U.S. troops, they were brought home, but their families were left behind. So you will see many Afghans whose wives, whose children, whose parents and sisters and brothers, they are in Afghanistan, and they feel very bitter about it. They think that that the United States should have brought their families here as well, because after all, they are their families. They want them here with them. So that could be one of the reasons. The other reason is that what happens in America. America is very different from Europe. In Europe, you get if you come here on political asylum, come to an European country, you do get some stipend, some sort of assistance from the government. In America, you don't get anything. And I know I have spoken to some Afghans. Some of them were friends who worked with the U.S. Army there. I met them here, and they were very upset that they were brought here and they were given a work permit and then left alone. But that is how America operates. America says that you have the work permit, which means you can do any work you want. You go and work. And most of them, because they are not trained, some of them are. If you are good in software, or if you are another technical skill, even if you are a motor mechanic, you can make a lot of money here. You come here, you hit the ground running, and you join some organization and start making money. But if you do not have any training, you have a plain BA, MA from Afghanistan or Pakistan, the only jobs you get are those working at gas stations or working in washing dishes in restaurants and all, and that makes them very upset, because they came hoping that because they work for the U.S. Army, they will be, they will be given better jobs, which they are not. So it is still not clear what was his motive, what motivated him. We will know as the investigation unfold. We'll know more about him.
So, Anwar Saab, but there is another development that U.S. President has ordered U.S. Citizen and Immigration Department to immediately halt all the immigration process, asylum applications, and the Afghans who have sought permanent residence. I mean, all immigration process of Afghan citizens seeking entry into United States, that has been halted. So, what do you think? It will have deeper impact on those who are definitely willing to come to United States, or those who are already in the U.S. They will be severely affected by this decision.
Hugely. I mean, the order says that it has been postponed indefinitely. That means I do not see it reopening under this administration. I mean, it will remain suspended for at least the next 2 or 3 years. I do not see this government lifting that restriction. They have cancelled this special only last month or something. They cancelled this special protection status for Afghans. Then they have also cancelled the same status for others. Like last week, they cancelled the special protection status for immigrants from Burma. And as you know, the present government in Washington does not want to encourage immigration. It has reduced the quota. The United States has for political asylum seekers. It is also is cracking down on people who actually enter through Mexico. So I think this restriction is going to stay for quite some time.
This restriction is going to stay some time. And how powerful circles in Washington, which we say a power corridor, the intelligence community, the diplomatic community, how generally broadly this incident is viewed in U.S. Capitol?
With alarm and caution. I mean, naturally, nobody can approve of this. I mean, you're targeting people, whatever grievances you may have, there are ways of dealing with those, redressing those grievances in this country. You go to a court if you think that your family should be here. And there are organizations that are actually working to help Afghans. There are American soldiers who have worked with these Afghans in Afghanistan, and they have formed groups and associations in almost every major city, and they help Afghans in bringing their family back here. They provide them legal assistance, they provide them jobs and everything. So the way, I mean, this is something that people from countries like Afghanistan and other similar countries must understand, that violence in America does not help you at all. You want to get something done, go through the American system, seek a legal redress, work with groups that are willing to help you. There are human rights groups, there are legal groups, and then there are medical groups who are providing medical support. There are groups who work with U.S. lawmakers to help you bring your families. The only way to resolve your issues is to work through the legal system. Taking up arms will not help you at all. Now, see what will happen. I mean, this man will probably get a death sentence and will be hanged very quickly. You will see it will happen within this within the Trump administration in the next 2 years or so. And then other Afghans, their status have been suspended. They will remain wherever they are for the next 2 or 3 years. That means his family or whoever he wanted to bring back to the United States will also get stuck in Afghanistan. So the need is to realize that violence never helps.
But violence never helps. At that same time, questions are raised on weapons freely available in United States. If we say that, of course, it was a terror incident, but at the same time, there are frequent mass shooting incidents across United States. And sometimes local Americans are also involved in that. So what about concern being expressed that there shouldn't be free weapon available for every citizen because that is a major source of violence?
Yes, every time something like this happens, people start talking about this issue. But you remember that most of the people who support this facility that allows American citizens to buy weapons, or anybody living legally in this country to buy weapons from a shop without a license. So that this puts it is the Republicans who support this provision. They believe that American citizens have the right to keep weapons with them when and there should be no restriction on them buying this weapon. And then there is the American Rifle Association, which is one of the strongest lobbies in America, and that lobbies for weapons and against any ban on the sale or purchase of weapons. And most of them, an overwhelming majority of these people are Republicans, and they vote for President Trump. So I do not see this administration actually banning weapons in America.
Anwar Saab, I would like to draw your attention on a recent UN briefing at UN Security Council, which was also reported by you, and this was the Danish envoy who alarmed the UN Security Council about the presence of high-profile terrorist organizations.
If high-profile terrorist organization in Afghanistan, yes, and it was a UN report. It was an official UN report.
Exactly, it was an official UN report. Exactly,
and it mentioned TTP, Tehrik-e-Taliban Pakistan, as well, and it did say very clearly that Kabul has once again become a hub of terrorist groups, and they are using Kabul for carrying out attacks in other countries. And it mentioned Pakistan also as the main target, but it did mention that there are groups who would like to harm U.S. interest and U.S. allies' interest everywhere in the world. So that is there, and that's a very alarming situation. And Pakistan's position on this issue is justified. Pakistan has been for a long time urging the international community to work with Islamabad to deal with these groups and to bring pressure on Kabul to disband all terrorist groups operating on the Sahel and actually expel them, push them out of the country, so that other countries, wherever they have committed these crimes, they can catch them and they can eliminate this threat.
So, any impact? When any issue or when any report is presented before UN Security Council, it becomes a UN document, a UN voice. Do you think, on the basis of this, there could be any pressure from United States on Afghanistan, because these groups, as reported by UN Security Council, pose a serious threat to not only Pakistan's security, to the region's security, and to the global security? Do we expect any future US action, because the UN report is implemented by all the countries? Do we foresee any future possible action by the US against these groups?
Yeah. Yes, why not? I think these groups are already sanctioned. They have already been designated as terrorist groups, including TTP by the United States, and even several Baloch groups operating from Afghanistan. They have been declared terrorist groups by the United States. And this incident has once again highlighted their role in spreading terrorism across the globe. I noticed that when this report was actually made public by the United Nations, it was almost entirely ignored by the US media. But since yesterday,
really? It was ignored by US media?
Yeah, I didn't see it covered by any major US media outlet. But now I see that almost all major organizations are referring to this report, are saying that like as recently as last week, the United Nations pointed out that Afghanistan has once again become a hub of terrorist activities. So I think it is being highlighted, and it will have an impact. And I think whatever action now Pakistan takes in Afghanistan, it will be supported by Washington.
In counterterrorism domain?
Yes.
in counterterrorism domain, if there is any future action, it will be fully supported by Washington.
Supported by
This
Washington, yes.
exactly endorsed by Washington. So I would like to see, since Pakistan, United States are enjoying very close ties, how U.S. administration understand Pakistan's terror concerns. And Pakistan has reportedly taken international community, US, into confidence about what you have just talked about, the presence of high-profile terrorist organization, BLA in Balochistan, Majid Brigade, TTP, Fitna ul Hindustan, Fitna al-Khawarij. So US does understand Pakistan's concern, and if so, then what do you think? How jointly Pakistan and United States could eliminate this terrorism, because Pakistani civil military leadership has time and again made it clear that there will be no compromise on it. And if there is any more attack emanating from Afghanistan, that will be crushed without any compromise.
I think, this is one issue on which US and Pakistani interests are the same. The Americans have experienced this time and again, and wherever and whenever a terrorist group is formed, it ultimately starts targeting the United States and its allies and targeting US interests. And Pakistan also has realized that having a terrorist group next door will hurt Pakistan. It has always hurt Pakistan. It has hurt Pakistan more than any other country. More Pakistani soldiers and civilians have died in operations carried out by these groups. So than in any other incident or in any other way. So I think there is this basic understanding between the two countries. I do not see joint operations happening. I do not see American troops coming back to the region for anything.
But at least intelligence sharing could be there.
Like more than intelligence sharing, I think if Pakistan needs small weapons like specialized helicopters or specialized night vision weapons and things like that, that is helpful in targeting terrorist groups. Washington would provide those things.
Mm-hmm. Washington would provide by understanding Pakistan's security concerns. So, how do you see the security future of the region in the given situation, which is very complex, very serious, and there are terror groups operating based in Afghanistan? All regional countries have serious concerns: Iran, Russia, China. These all countries, and including United States, which is not a regional country, but do have, and Pakistan has expressed these concerns. So how do you see in the time to come, how region could be made peaceful? What could be a possible strategy that could be accepted by all countries?
The region will remain
under threat,
unstable in the near future. These groups that are there based in Afghanistan, they're not going to disappear overnight. It's a long fight because Pakistan has already started fighting. Pakistan has put in all its resources to combat these groups. And I think Pakistan already has the sympathies of countries like Russia and China, because they do not want these groups to become strong or more active than they already are, because it will have an impact on Russian interest and Chinese interest in that region as well. You know, China too has this problem, as does Russia. So they do not want the terrorists to develop greater roots in the Afghan soil. They are, and they will continue to support Pakistan. The Americans also support Pakistan. But now the problem is, and Americans have been supporting Pakistan on this issue for quite some time. But now the problem is India. India sees this as an opportunity to keep troubling Pakistan.
To the proxies, exactly.
Keep troubling Pakistan, and they are operating in, I saw stickers here in Washington on cars driven by Afghans, which showed India standing between Pakistan and Afghanistan and helping Afghanistan fighting Pakistan. Those kind of sentiments are there. I mean,
And India is exploiting this.
but these are the stickers. They didn't say India is exploiting. They just showed India between Pakistan and Afghanistan and stopping Pakistan from attacking Afghanistan. So that is the sentiment in Afghanistan now. And so I think India would like to continue exploiting the situation and creating problems for Pakistan. But Pakistan has an opportunity to actually reach out to other major countries in the world who already has sympathies for Pakistan on this issue. And Pakistan can very tactfully use this situation for its advantage, because the world is not going to support India on this. Nobody in the world wants any country to support terrorist outfits.
Anwar Saab, you have covered these all meetings. First, Pakistani Field Marshal, when he met the US President earlier in June, and later on 25th September, when Field Marshal Asim Munir and Pakistani Prime Minister Shahbaz Sharif met US President. So during these all meetings, of course, regional security situation came under discussion. Do you think now the forward-looking question is, at any stage, change of Taliban regime is an option for Pakistan? Is there is any possibility that in future this regime could be changed?
If other nations, other powers want to change in Kabul, it can
global
happen.
Powers.
Pakistan,
you are referring to the global powers?
Well, global powers, if the United States, China, and Russia support a regime change in Afghanistan, then it can happen. Pakistan cannot and should not try to do it on its own, because then, like Russia, like the United States, Pakistan will also get stuck in Afghanistan, and it will create a lot of problems for Pakistan. But if world powers also want that, and particularly China and the United States, because these are the two countries. China has borders with Afghanistan. China has direct interest in Afghanistan, and America has interest in Afghanistan. America has bases in Afghanistan that would support any action that America takes. Russia has had links to Afghanistan, and then there are former Soviet republics that border Afghanistan. So if all these countries get together and they want to bring about a regime change in Kabul, then it can happen. But without greater support from the global community, Pakistan should not even go there. Then it will create a lot of problems for Pakistan.
So in the end, I would like to seek your comment. You have seen a fresh wave of terrorism in Pakistan. Earlier, there was a terrorist attack at Cadet College in Bannu, then in Islamabad, federal capital, and then just 3-4 days back at FC headquarters in Peshawar. These all terrorists who attacked were Afghan nationals, and they had linkages with Afghanistan. How is this phenomena that behind most of the terrorist incidents in Pakistan, the handlers, the attackers, the planners, they all are Afghan national, and they have been closely attached with the TTP over there?
See, there has never been any love lost. There's no love lost between Pakistan and Afghanistan. I have been to Afghanistan on several occasions. I was in Kandahar when the Taliban was being formed, and I remember attending an event where the then governor of Kandahar, Sher Agha, was addressing a rally and it was praising Pakistan, was supporting the Taliban, Afghan Mujahideen. At the same time, he mentioned that we do have border disputes with Pakistan as well, and there are areas in KP and in Balochistan. It was not KP in those days; it was called NWP and Balochistan that belong to Afghanistan, and Pakistan should return those areas to Afghanistan. And this is the feeling that Ibn Mullah Umar, you remember, he refused to recognize the Durand Line. Karzai never recognized the Durand Line. What was his name? Mr. Ghani's government did not recognize the Durand Line. So It's like, I mean, there are differences between the two nations, and that are very difficult to actually remove. Those differences will remain. And Afghanistan, you remember that Afghanistan was the only country that voted against Pakistan's admission to the United Nations. So I don't know why we expected Afghanistan to change. If there is anything that all Afghans, including the Taliban, Mujahideen, and the Afghan nationalists and communists and all, and I have interviewed and dealt with all of them, anything that is common among all this group is that KP and Balochistan belong to us and they should be returned to Afghanistan. And that they know that it cannot happen because people of those regions also do not want to actually join Afghanistan. There's very little support or no support in KP or in Balochistan for joining Afghanistan. But that is what the Afghan want. That's what they believe in. And that is why we have time and again, no matter what we do, we always have problems with Afghans, and we will continue to have problems with Afghans. So we will actually devise our own strategies with this thing in our mind, that our relationship with Afghanistan will always be troublesome, and that we should always watch our western borders very carefully, and we should always try to make sure that India and Afghanistan do not join hands against Pakistan, because if they do, then they can really increase the heat for Pakistan, which they are doing now. I mean, even when the Taliban were supposedly very close to Pakistan, even then, none of the Taliban government agreed to recognize the Durand Line as an international border.
So just one sentence, how Pakistan's counter-terrorism narrative, Pakistan's narrative against India. We have seen a recent US report also in which Pakistan's narrative was endorsed vis-a-vis Pakistan-India conflict. So generally, broadly, how Pakistan's view, Pakistan's story, Pakistan's narrative vis-a-vis Afghanistan, you have already shared that if there is any future attack by Pakistan against terrorist groups, US will endorse. Broadly, how Pakistan's image, how Pakistan's narrative is heard in powerful circles in US capital.
See, now the thing to watch is the US-India trade agreement or deal, which is being negotiated, and it can be announced in a week or two, and that will decide how US-India relation will shape up in the near future. You remember one thing, that the total trade between Pakistan and the United States is like between $6 to $7 billion, and between India and the United States, even the American, it is already in quite big, but the Americans want to increase it to $500 billion a year. So when you have trade of $500 billion a year, then that also influences your policies. So what we see in Washington, the statements against India and the sentiments against India, whatever we see, is actually also a part of their negotiation strategy. They want to negotiate a deal with India that favors the United States, and that's why they're bringing pressure on India. They want India to stop buying oil from Russia. They want India to reduce its relations with Iran, and to make them do so, they are using trade as a pressure tactic. But ultimately, Washington wants good relations with India, particularly in trade and commerce. And I think they will soon be able to come to some sort of deal.
Thank you so much indeed, senior analyst and journalist from Washington, Mr. Anwar Iqbal, who highlighted different aspects of this growing terrorism emanating from Afghanistan, posing threat to the U.S. security, and particularly the terror incident in U.S. capital, Washington, where 3 U.S. National Guards were attacked by an Afghan, Rahmanullah, and some of the latest updates you have shared with us, along with your insightful analysis on that particular situation. Thank you so much once again. Despite your busy schedule, you spared time and participated in our show, dear viewers. Till our next show, goodbye and Khuda Hafiz.